Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to lean in, not just with your ears, but with your heart, because a struggle is not something we escape. It's something we transform. Every challenge, every setback, every sleepless night you've endured wasn't designed to break you. It was shaping the version of you that you haven't even fully met yet. We are taught to fear struggle, to avoid discomfort, to stay safe. But the truth is this: your struggle is your training ground. It forges character, demands growth, and calls forward the strength you never knew you had. Think about it. Your greatest breakthroughs have never come from comfort. They came from moments when your back was against the wall, when giving up seemed easier, when no one else believed, but you kept moving. Today, we're not here to talk about pain. We're here to talk about power. The power that emerges only when life tests you. The power that rises when you refuse to quit. As from struggle to strength is not a slogan. It's a metamorphosis. It's the moment you stop asking, why me? And start proclaiming, try me. So as you listen, feel this truth. Everything you've endured is preparing you for everything you've asked for. The struggle is your catalyst. And today we awaken the strength that has been building inside you all along. Let's begin. When you learn to embrace discomfort as the birthplace of growth, something fundamental shifts inside you. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding pain, sidestepping challenges, and seeking the path of least resistance. But what they don't realize is that the level of comfort they cling to becomes the silent ceiling on their potential. Comfort feels safe, familiar, predictable, and that's why it's dangerous. Growth doesn't live there. Growth waits in the unfamiliar, the uncertain, the moments when you're forced to dig deeper than you ever have before. Every struggle you faced wasn't a sign of weakness. It was an invitation to grow stronger. When life throws discomfort your way, it's really saying, there's more in you. Think back on any major breakthrough in your life. Was it born from easy days, smooth seas, or effortless situations? Probably not. Breakthroughs come from breakdowns. They show up when you're pushed, stretched, challenged, and tested. And it's in that friction where transformation happens. Just like muscles grow when they're torn and rebuilt, your mindset strengthens when it's challenged by adversity. When you start seeing discomfort as a workout for your character rather than an attack on your confidence, everything changes. You stop running from struggle and start running toward possibility. The truth is that human beings are wired to adapt. When you step into discomfort, you activate parts of yourself that would remain dormant otherwise. Think about a time you were terrified to take a step. Maybe it was a new job, a difficult conversation, or the first step toward a dream. At the beginning, you felt fear, uncertainty, doubt, but then you took action. And on the other side of that fear, you discovered competence, confidence, and clarity. That's the pattern life uses to build you feel fear. Take action, find strength. But if you always retreat at the first sign of discomfort, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow. You stay stuck in the same identity, and you repeat the same patterns. People who succeed at extraordinary levels aren't stronger than you. They simply train themselves not to back down when discomfort shows up. They understand that every moment of resistance is polishing their edge, sharpening their vision, and strengthening their resolve. They lean into uncomfortable conversations because that's where relationships deepen. They embrace difficult work because that's where mastery is built. They take bold risks because that's where new worlds reveal themselves. Discomfort is the curriculum of growth, and life is the classroom. Once you shift your perspective and begin to welcome discomfort, something magical happens. You become unstoppable. You stop viewing struggle as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You realize life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Suddenly, challenges become lessons, failures become feedback, and setbacks become setups for your next level. This mindset doesn't eliminate struggle. It empowers you to navigate it with purpose. It's important to understand that growth never feels good while you're in it. It's sweaty, messy, confusing, and at times overwhelming. But later, when you stand on the other side, stronger, wiser, more capable, you'll look back and realize those hard moments were the exact ones that carved the strength inside you. Comfort may give you a moment of ease, but discomfort gives you a lifetime of evolution. When you choose discomfort today, you choose strength tomorrow. So ask yourself, are you shrinking for the sake of comfort, or are you expanding for the sake of growth? Every day presents a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into who you're meant to become. And that journey begins the moment you stop resisting discomfort and start embracing it. Because the path from struggle to strength is paved with the challenges you're willing to face, not the ones you avoid. Turning adversity into opportunity begins with a shift in mindset, because the way you interpret your challenges determines the outcome they produce in your life. Two people can face the same situation. One crumbles under the pressure, and the other extracts power, insight, and momentum. The difference isn't the circumstance, it's the story they choose to believe. When adversity strikes, most people default to survival mode. They see obstacles as barriers, setbacks as signs to quit, and pain as punishment. But those who transform their lives see adversity as a sculptor shaping their identity. They realize that every difficulty contains a hidden lesson, a new skill, a deeper layer of resilience waiting to be uncovered. The truth is, life is always communicating with you. When something doesn't go as planned, it's not random, it's a clue. It might be urging you to grow stronger emotionally, to become more disciplined, or to shift direction entirely. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? The empowered mindset asks, what is this trying to teach me? This simple shift changes everything. It moves you from victim to creator, from powerless to powerful. You stop reacting to life and you begin responding to it with intention, clarity, and strategy. Think about some of the greatest success stories in history. They weren't born from comfortable situations. They were forged through adversity, poverty, rejection, heartbreak, failure, and loss. Yet these individuals refused to let circumstances define them. They decided that adversity would be the fuel that ignited their greatness. When you choose to adopt that same mindset, you begin to see obstacles as building blocks rather than roadblocks. You develop grit, the quiet force that keeps you moving when motivation fades. You cultivate creativity because adversity demands new solutions. And you refine your character, learning to stay calm under pressure, to trust yourself, and to persevere through uncertainty. One of the most essential skills for turning adversity into opportunity is reframing. Reframing means changing the meaning you assign to an event. Instead of labeling a failure as proof you aren't good enough, you frame it as feedback showing you how to improve. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack, you view it as insight that sharpens your focus. Instead of perceiving delays as disappointments, you treat them as preparation for something greater. Reframing doesn't remove the struggle. It elevates your consciousness so you can rise above it. And that is where your power lies. Another vital part of this transformation is understanding that adversity builds emotional endurance. Just as your muscles grow stronger through resistance, your emotional capacity expands through challenge. Each time you push through something hard, you enlarge the space inside you that can handle stress, uncertainty, and change. Suddenly, what used to break you can't even shake you. Your threshold for discomfort grows, and you become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Many people waste adversity by drowning in self-pity, waiting for someone to rescue them. But those who transform their lives are proactive. They ask better questions. How can I use this? Who can I become through this? What opportunity is hidden here? When you approach challenges with curiosity instead of fear, you unlock doors that others can't even see. You start noticing opportunities disguised as problems, connections hidden in crisis, and breakthroughs buried in breakdowns. In the end, adversity isn't your enemy. It's your instructor. It forces growth that comfort never could. It exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It strips away what is no longer serving you, making room for what will. And once you realize that every struggle holds the seed of potential, you become unstoppable. You stop running from adversity and begin extracting wisdom from it. You harness its energy and direct it into progress. And before you know it, you look back and realize that the very thing that once hurt you became the reason you rose. Opportunity isn't the absence of adversity. It's found in the perspective you choose when adversity arrives. When you master your mindset, you master your outcome. And that's how you turn adversity into the greatest opportunity of your life. Developing emotional resilience to transform pain into power begins with understanding that pain is not the enemy, it's a messenger. Most people spend their lives running from uncomfortable emotions, suppressing them or numbing them through distractions. But the emotions you avoid don't disappear, they accumulate, quietly shaping your decisions, your reactions, and your identity. Emotional resilience is the ability to face those feelings head on, to sit with them, to understand them, and ultimately to use them as fuel instead of allowing them to control you. When you build resilience, you reclaim authority over your inner world. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by struggle, you become strengthened by it. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The moment you begin to shift your relationship with pain, you unlock a new level of power. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? You start asking, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Every emotion carries information. Fear alerts you to growth. Anger highlights boundaries being crossed. Sadness reveals what matters most to you. Anxiety points toward uncertainty, asking for clarity. When you lean into these emotions with curiosity instead of judgment, you begin to decode the messages they bring. Emotional resilience doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means integrating its lessons. One of the greatest myths is that strong people don't feel pain. In truth, emotionally resilient people feel deeply, but they don't get stuck. They allow themselves to experience the emotion fully without letting it anchor them to the past. They refuse to let temporary feelings create permanent identities. When you say, I am anxious, or I am broken, you're merging who you are with what you feel. But resilient individuals say, I am feeling anxious, or I am experiencing pain. That subtle shift creates space between identity and emotion. You are not your emotions, you are the one observing them. To transform pain into power, you must learn how to process emotion rather than store it. Unexpressed pain becomes internal pressure. It turns into stress outbursts or self-doubt. But expressed pain becomes wisdom. Emotional resilience teaches you to pause, breathe, reflect, and respond intentionally rather than impulsively. In moments of high emotion, people often react in ways they later regret. But resilience creates emotional muscle, allowing you to remain anchored even when storms rage within. Pain is also the most honest mirror you'll ever face. It reveals your insecurities, your fears, and the parts of you that still need healing. Instead of resenting that mirror, resilience invites you to see it as a guide. When something hurts, it points directly to what needs to be strengthened. Heartbreak builds empathy. Failure builds humility. Rejection builds self-worth independent of approval. Every painful experience has a corresponding gift if you're willing to extract it. Another element of emotional resilience is reframing the narrative. It's easy to interpret pain as weakness or punishment, but resilient minds see it as initiation. They ask, who will I become because of this? When you shift from victim to student, the pain begins to work for you. You grow compassion for others. You become more adaptable. You gain emotional clarity. Over time, the pain that once seemed unbearable becomes part of the strength that others admire in you. It's important to surround yourself with environments that support emotional growth. Resilience doesn't mean going through everything alone. It means knowing when to reach out, share, and seek perspective. Sometimes the courage to be vulnerable is what unlocks healing. And healing isn't about forgetting. It's about integrating those wounds into your story with pride, not shame. Ultimately, emotional resilience is the art of using pain as your compass rather than letting it be your anchor. It's recognizing that the emotions you fear hold the keys to the evolution you desire. When life challenges you emotionally, it's strengthening your capacity for joy, love, connection, and purpose. And once you've walked through pain and turned it into power, you become someone who can stand tall through storms that would have once leveled you. That's not just resilience, that's transformation. Breaking limiting beliefs and unlocking your true potential begins with recognizing that the most powerful barriers you face are not external, they are internal. Your beliefs act like the operating system of your mind. They determine what you think you're capable of, how you respond to challenges, and ultimately, how far you're willing to go in life. Many people aren't held back by a lack of resources, talent, or opportunity. They're held back by invisible chains they've accepted as truth. These limiting beliefs often form quietly over time through criticism, failure, fear, comparison, or even the opinions of others. Without realizing it, you build walls inside your own mind, and then you wonder why you feel trapped. The first step to breaking these limitations is awareness. You must identify the stories you've been telling yourself. Perhaps you've said, I'm not good enough. Success isn't for people like me, or I always fail. These statements may feel like facts, but they're just interpretations shaped by past experiences, not your future possibilities. When you shine a light on these beliefs, you begin to see how irrational and outdated they really are. Limiting beliefs thrive in the dark. They crumble when exposed to truth. Once you understand the belief, you must challenge it. Ask yourself, who says this is true? What evidence do I actually have? You'll quickly discover that many of your beliefs were inherited from others, parents, teachers, friends, society. They weren't chosen, they were absorbed, but you always have the power to choose a new narrative. Every time you question a limiting belief, you weaken its grip. You reclaim authority over your identity and your destiny. Unlocking your potential also requires replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Your mind cannot function on a vacuum. If you remove an old belief, you must install a new one. Begin to affirm who you want to become. Tell yourself, I am capable. I can learn. I can change. At first, these statements may feel uncomfortable or unrealistic. That's normal. You've spent years reinforcing the opposite. But the brain is malleable. It adapts to repetition. The more you affirm your new identity, the more you embody it. Over time, those beliefs begin to feel natural and your actions start to align with them. Your environment also influences your beliefs. Surround yourself with people who see greatness in you, not those who feed your doubts. Many dreams die not from failure, but from exposure to small minds. If you're constantly around individuals who don't dream, don't grow, and don't believe in possibilities, their limitations will slowly become yours. Seek mentors, friends, and communities that challenge you, inspire you, and elevate your standards. Sometimes the best way to break your own limitations is to borrow belief from someone who sees your potential more clearly than you do. Action is a crucial part of this transformation. Confidence doesn't come from thinking, you earn it through experience. When you take small steps outside your comfort zone, you begin to collect proof that contradicts your old beliefs. Each win, no matter how small, becomes a brick in the foundation of your new identity. You realize that you're capable of more than you thought. The fear that once held you back begins to fade, replaced by courage and clarity. It's important to understand that unlocking potential is not a one-time breakthrough. It's a continuous process. Every new level of life will require a new level of belief. As you grow, you'll face fresh challenges and doubts. But because you've learned how to recognize and break limiting beliefs, you'll be prepared. You'll look at fear and say, I've been here before, I know how to rise. Ultimately, unlocking your true potential is about aligning your inner world with the greatness that already exists within you. The limits you feel are illusions, shadows cast by old fears. When you shatter those beliefs, everything expands. You see possibilities where you once saw barriers. You feel confident where you once felt small, and you step boldly into the life you were always meant to live. Your potential isn't something you find. It's something you uncover by removing the beliefs that have been hiding it all along. Using consistent discipline to convert struggle into momentum is one of the greatest transformations you can create in your life, because discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. Everyone has dreams, desires, and goals, but only a small percentage of people actually take daily action toward them. Why? Because action requires effort, and effort demands discipline, struggle shows up in many forms. Lack of motivation, fear of failure, overwhelm, setbacks, distractions. And without discipline, these struggles can freeze you in place. But when you build discipline like a muscle, you turn every struggle into a push forward instead of a pull back. Consistency compounds, and over time it becomes the unstoppable force that drives you toward mastery. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you must feel motivated before taking action. Motivation is unpredictable. It comes and goes like the weather. Discipline, on the other hand, is the ability to act regardless of how you feel. Think of discipline as a promise you make to your future self. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. When you show up on days when you're tired, uncertain, or uninspired, those are the days that count the most. Anyone can work hard when they feel good. The person who works when it's difficult gains a level of confidence and momentum that others will never experience. At first, discipline feels uncomfortable because you're pushing against old habits. The brain loves familiarity, even if that familiarity is keeping you stuck. But the more you repeat an action, the more your brain rewires itself to support that behavior. This is where momentum begins. Momentum isn't built in a single massive effort. It's built through small victories repeated consistently. When you do something hard once, it feels impossible. When you do it 100 times, it becomes part of who you are. Struggle becomes strategy and resistance becomes routine. Discipline also creates clarity. When you commit to a daily habit, whether it's training, studying, working on your craft, or improving your mindset, you eliminate decision fatigue. You no longer ask, should I do this today? You simply do it. That mental switch alone saves enormous energy and prevents procrastination. Over time, this consistency sharpens your focus. You stop chasing every new idea or distraction, and you start honing in on what truly matters. The momentum that builds from this clarity becomes your competitive advantage. Another key aspect of discipline is realizing that progress is rarely linear. There will be days when you feel like you're moving backward, when results are invisible, when effort seems unrewarded. Most people quit in these moments, not because they aren't capable, but because they mistake struggle for failure. Discipline teaches you that struggle is part of the process. It's how you grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Every time you push through these invisible walls, you gain momentum that can carry you farther than motivation alone ever could. Accountability can amplify discipline. When you make commitments publicly, track your progress, or surround yourself with individuals who are also pushing toward goals, you elevate your standards. Humans rise to the level of their environment. Being around disciplined people makes discipline feel normal. It forces you to stretch beyond your comfort zone, and it keeps you aligned with the identity you're building. Remember, discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Missing a day doesn't mean you failed. What matters is how quickly you return. As you develop discipline, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The habits that once felt difficult eventually become effortless. Waking up early, exercising, working on your growth, investing time in your goals, these actions become automatic. And when discipline becomes identity, struggle becomes traction. You're no longer battling yourself, you're using adversity as a training stimulus. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your consistency rather than break it. The most powerful transformation occurs when discipline becomes self-respect. Keeping promises to yourself builds unshakable confidence. You stop needing approval from others because you trust your own word. You know that no matter what obstacles appear, you will show up. That level of internal certainty is rare. And it's magnetic. It changes how you walk, speak, think, and lead. People feel it, and more importantly, you feel it. In the end, discipline isn't just about achieving goals. It's about who you become in the process. When you commit to consistent effort, struggle stops being something that slows you down and becomes something that speeds you up. Every challenge becomes fuel. Every setback becomes feedback. Every repetition strengthens your momentum. And once momentum is on your side, progress becomes inevitable. That's how you convert struggle into unstoppable forward motion, one disciplined step at a time. Surrounding yourself with empowering influences that elevate your identity is one of the most overlooked but transformative elements on the journey from struggle to strength. Human beings are social creatures. Whether we admit it or not, we are shaped by the environments we inhabit and the people we spend time with. Your mindset, your habits, your beliefs, and even your level of ambition are all influenced, often unconsciously, by the individuals around you. If you surround yourself with people who complain, make excuses, and settle for mediocrity, you'll begin to mirror those same patterns. But if you place yourself in environments filled with growth-minded, disciplined, and purpose-driven individuals, your standards naturally rise. Proximity is power. Think about how you feel after spending time with certain people. Some leave you drained, doubting yourself and questioning your dreams. Others leave you energized, inspired, and ready to elevate. That's not accidental. Energy is contagious. Confidence is contagious. So is doubt and negativity. When you're on a journey of growth, it's crucial to protect your mental environment. You cannot afford to surround yourself with influences that shrink your vision. Your circle can either reinforce your struggles or amplify your strengths. The right people challenge you not to break you, but to awaken parts of yourself you didn't know existed. One of the most powerful benefits of empowering influences is identity reinforcement. Identity drives behavior. When you see yourself as someone capable, worthy, and destined for growth, you take actions aligned with that identity. But identity is fragile when surrounded by criticism or disbelief. If the people closest to you consistently doubt your abilities, over time you may start to internalize those doubts. Conversely, when you're surrounded by people who believe in you, even when you doubt yourself, it strengthens your internal belief system. They reflect back to you the best version of who you can become. It's also important to recognize that empowering influences aren't limited to personal relationships. Books, mentors, podcasts, coaches, and online communities are all forms of influence. Sometimes the greatest mentors are individuals you may never meet personally, but who influence your thinking through their stories and teachings. When you intentionally curate your mental diet, what you watch, read, listen to, you reshape your internal narrative. The content you consume daily is designing your future quietly in the background of your mind. Another critical piece of surrounding yourself with empowering influences is accountability. When you share your goals with people who are also striving toward excellence, you create a system of healthy pressure. They won't let you settle. They won't celebrate your excuses. Instead, they'll push you to keep going when you're tempted to quit. This type of accountability is not about judgment. It's about love expressed through high standards. It's about seeing your potential and refusing to let you betray it. But elevating your environment often requires difficult decisions. Sometimes it means distancing yourself from relationships that pull you backward. That doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you care enough about your future to protect your growth. Growth requires space, and some relationships occupy space that's needed for your evolution. Letting go is painful, but staying stuck is worse. The moment you begin to prioritize your identity over your comfort, you start attracting relationships aligned with your highest self. As you evolve, you'll discover that empowering influences often operate through modeling. When you witness someone consistently disciplined, patient, resilient, and focused, those behaviors begin to feel normal. You get to see what's possible. It's like raising the thermostat on your life. You adjust to a higher standard without forcing it. This kind of influence accelerates growth faster than any motivational speech because it's lived, not preached. In time, something beautiful happens. You become the empowering influence. Your discipline inspires others. Your resilience becomes their reminder not to quit. Your strength becomes their permission to pursue their dreams. And the cycle continues. Surrounding yourself with people who elevate your identity doesn't just help you grow. It transforms the energy you contribute to the world. Ultimately, who you become is a reflection of the people and environments you allow into your life. If you want to rise, align yourself with those who are rising. If you want strength, sit beside the strong. And as you absorb their energy, their beliefs, and their habits, you'll begin to embody the identity required to turn struggle into strength. Your circle isn't just a social choice, it's a destiny-shaping decision.